Hello, hello, hello. How are you? It's your boy, ComEddie Kadi. I've said I'm going to address myself as ComEddie Kadi now because I live on the internet now. My real life does not exist. I'm now a virtual. So Eddie Kadi is gone. This is ComEddie Kadi with ComEddie Hour. Alongside INFORAFRICA, we are here to discuss life. We are here to also make sure that our people back home, those who are in less privileged position than we are, to understand that we have not forgotten them. We're all in this together. And it's about time that as Africans from all over the world, that we've come together to discuss our own personal matters, to also find solutions within ourselves. And I'm always saying that Africa is enough. So I've decided to connect with my brothers from across the continent, my comedy brothers, which is why it's called ComEddie Hour, people who I admire, people I've spent great times with, to kind of just allow us to understand that sometimes we need to laugh to keep us from crying. And today, I want to introduce to you two of my favorite sons of Africa, one from the southern part of Africa and the other from the eastern part of Africa. Carl Joshua Ncube is an amazing comedian, and he delves into the social and economic issues that's affecting not just in his country, but overall. He uses that as leverage, as a trigger to discuss matters in his own comedic style, but also an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing businessman, of course, and just an amazing human being. So let me first of all welcome this crazy guy. I don't know where he's at right now, whether he's actually in Zimbabwe or he's at Formula One, because this is what it looks like he's inside the car. Carl, how are you?
What's up, Eddie? How are you guys doing?
Man, listen, before I bring on the next crazy guy, I need to understand, where are you right now? Are you escaping?
Okay. So I'm in Victoria Falls, which is right at the border of Zimbabwe and Zambia, and sort of Botswana and Namibia. So it's like a quick getaway. Just in case stuff goes south, I'm out.
So you are literally the walking anti-xenophobia protest. That's what you are.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm by the fire exits. I'm doing what's right.
So tell me, if you had to escape right now, where would you go to first?
Okay, first I'd have to jump down the falls. So bungee jump into the water. I have to learn how to swim and then get myself like across to Zambia. That's probably one of the safest places. But I think Zimbabwe is the safest place in Southern Africa at the moment.
Oh, okay. You know, that's a statement. Some Southern Africans might disagree, but let's see. I want to know what's going on in the East right now. This guy here is an absolute lunatic. He has literally by himself propelled a different voice to East African comedy. He's taken it by storm. He's a guy who's extremely hardworking, one of the hardest working people I know. He makes sure that you understand what's going on around the world, but also particularly in his homeland of Uganda, Kampala. He has taken me under his wing and showed me the beautiful and the most craziest part of Kampala. This is my brother indeed. Please welcome the one and only Patrick. I'm standing by him on this side. Let's welcome Salvado in the building. Patrick, what's going on?
Yeah, Wagwan.
You're
scaring me, man. People only praise you too much when you're about to die. Don't say so many good things now, because I'm still alive. I'm not dying anytime soon. Just say he's a guy, he's a brother, he's a friend, and he's a comedian. Stop there. Stop talking about God. Talk about introducing it. I don't like.
But what if when we pass, we don't become a spirit, and you never know what people are saying about you? You don't rise above your body to see, and then people say, "This is what Eddie said." You say, "I don't believe it because I did not hear it." At least you're in the rehearsals.
When you die, you let me know.
I'm not coming with you. Who told you that's the plan? So, are you also trying to escape because you're also in the car? I mean, is everybody escaping? What's going on?
Okay, the difference is that I was on the road right now. I was trying to beat curfew, so I had to park. This is a very good reason for me to explain to the police that I was on a very, very important. I'm recording this as well.
For proof.
So I will show the police on the roadblocks that I was having a very important call. That is why I did not manage to beat the curfew. So my car is actually moving. I don't know about the other guy. My car has fuel. It has electricity. It has petrol. The steering wheel moves. I dare the other guy to show me his steering wheel. Bro, if he does that, we are good.
He doesn't have a steering wheel.
If you see behind me, that's the driver's compartment.
So, guys, we're going through crazy times.
Yeah.
But one thing I do know is that, you know, Patrick, most recently we've spoken and we've had a catch up. And you know, one thing I recognize is that when you speak to your real brothers, happiness always prevails, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Always prevails. And we've been given the gift of laughter, the gift of entertainment, the gift of
joy.
Do you feel a pressure and a sense of expectation from people at this time to serve them with this? I'll start with Carl.
You know, like, what's interesting is that with comedy, we're kind of like journalists, right? So we read up on everything. We take up all of the bad things that are happening in the world. And then somehow our solution is to put it in a form that people are not going to kill each other over. Like, they'll at least laugh about it and come up with a different... So, like, comedy has always been that thing that is solved. And you'll notice the way that comedy has grown across Africa. It's symptomatic of the problems we've had. And I think for the greatest time until now, we didn't realize how big that role was. I mean, we were concerned about how our careers were building and so on, but we didn't realize the actual role politically, socially that we were playing. And we're seeing it play out now in such a huge way because Donald Trump has really shown us how far comedy can go. And he's leading the light in terms of showing how policy formulation can happen from a comedy perspective.
His one-man shows are amazing.
It's a huge burden.
His one-man shows are amazing. I'm looking forward to his next stand-up special. China. 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 So Patrick, on your point, you know, Kampala sits on your shoulders, man. You guys sit on your shoulder. I've been around Kampala with you, and I've seen when people see you, they light up, they expect something, they laugh before you open your mouth. As comics, you get that. You know, you feel that a lot as well, right?
Yeah, so like, it's very hard. So many people expect you to be funny all the time.
Yeah, bro.
And they're asking us, hey, guys, can you do online shows? So many artists, musicians are doing online shows. What about comedy? We need to laugh. Can you do an online show? And there's nothing as painful as trying to explain why you can't be funny. There's nothing as painful as explaining why you cannot be funny, because they do not understand. They are like, you are entertainers, the musicians are doing it. Why aren't you guys? You are in the same category. You're in the same category. Entertainment, entertainers. And they don't know that our art requires time. It requires patience. It requires a lot of skill. And it requires feedback. Feedback. Nobody understands.
Bro, they're saying that LOL is enough. El Mao is enough.
El Mao, that is the word I hate the most. El Mao. Nobody writes El Mao while they are laughing their asses off. It's a lie. Nobody should ever lie to you that El Mao is a lie. First of all, how do you laugh your ass off? You can't. It's biologically impossible. It's biologically impossible.
I can't stand the kiki. Like, how am I supposed to respond to a kiki? Like,
what about hi?
Bro,
that is a fake laughter.
I thought laughing my ass off meant you farted. That's what I used to think. It's so funny. You're farting. You know, sometimes something can be so funny, you fart. I thought that's what laughing my ass off.
Eddie, you're just spoiled. You are just spoiled. You are just naturally spoiled. Let us not go there. Let us not expose ourselves.
I'm just telling the truth.
Not the time.
I'm just saying. Then I found out that El Mao is just letters. So, in your countries, guys, how are people taking the COVID? The conversation has moved on now. Let's say it was 7-8 weeks in. The information, the fear and stuff was different back then. Now, our Prime Minister here in the UK saying 6 people can gather. Then this is when your friends you start to realize, I don't even have 6 friends.
That's a good point.
Corona, go on.
That's a good point, because, you know, to be honest, in Zimbabwe, there's been very little adjustment. They told people to stay at home. We're basically, most of us, unemployed. So we were working from home anyway, right? I've been in isolation for like a year. From January of 2019. This is what's been happening. Like, people talk about going to the supermarket. Like, why would you go to the supermarket regularly anyway? There's hardly anything in the shops. It's not like the banks weren't working, the ATMs weren't working. Literally, I don't think there's any adjustment we have had to make, to be honest. Well, I haven't made that adjustment.
Nothing is going on. Basically, nothing is going on. In your side, you guys are in the same position. Like, no, Kampala is busy. Even when you took me to Ginger is busy. Your people, in fact, there's more clubs than houses in Uganda. So how are you guys even doing this? I think we might have lost Patrick for a second there.
All right.
This is how they're dealing with it. I think the police have found him, bro. I think the police have found Patrick.
I hope they haven't stopped him, because I feel sorry for everyone in Kampala. Dude, like, after funerals, people are at a party. Like, 4 a.m. I'm being picked up at the airport.
Yeah.
People are coming out of bars. Like, it's insane. I don't even know why Salvador is smiling, because I can't even understand how they're coping with this stuff.
Bro, listen, even your internet is doing social distancing.
What happened? What happened?
Bro, this is what happened. After I asked you the question, you went.
Exactly.
Are you serious?
We didn't hear you, so tell us. So tell us.
It is Zimbabwe.
What is going on? What is going on?
Zimbabwe is trying to jeopardize this meeting.
Leave Zimbabwe alone. What is going on in that your Kampala? Tell us. How are people taking it, bro?
Actually, right now, you see, the fact that we have not had any fatality, we have not had any deaths, people think it's a conspiracy theory.
Oh.
Yeah, because the government has made a lot of money. It's made a lot of money from donations, from the World Bank, from America, from the UK. We've been given so much donations, because the way the guys acted was very fast. So they believe that the reason we don't have any fatality is because our government acted very fast. But it's becoming debatable, because, man, like, even the patients are like, we are okay, we have no problem, but the government keeps on saying we are sick. So guys think it's a conspiracy theory. It's a way of making money, because guys have made money, yo. Guys have made money. But listen, real talk, Ugandans will never let their spirit die. Right now, I'm just from a birthday party. The reason why I was supposed to be in a studio, fully fledged, with lighting and models and ushers and stuff. Then I was invited to a party. I was like, I can always tell Eddie that, I was at a party and everything. Right now, there's a party going on in the fence next door.
No social distancing at all.
Bro, with alcohol, the social distancing dies every time you drink.
Man, I miss Kampala.
You get.
No, Carl, you said you miss Kampala. Right now, I don't miss it. Let them miss me.
My bachelor's party was in Kampala. My bachelor's party, organized by Salvador, was in Kampala.
Oh dear.
I remembered I even quit being a graphic designer, sold my computers to go and meet Patrick in Uganda to start comedy, because I'd watched him on television. And so there was Patrick and there was Pablo, and I thought Patrick was gonna win, right?
Right.
And I was so upset. They were doing this reality show. And so I traveled all the way there just to meet Patrick. Dude, like, all the partying I've ever done in my life is in Kampala, nowhere else.
Wow. So wait, Carl, are you talking about your comedy career here is attached to Patrick?
Yes, directly.
Be very clear. So you're saying you was doing your graphic design, which you're amazing at. And then you saw Patrick in a competition and you said, that's it.
Yep. I was working in graphic design. I just started doing comedy, but I'd watched these guys earlier doing like a reality show.
Amazing.
So the first thing that I had to do was go and learn from someone. And I literally flew to Kampala. And I spent time with Salvador in Kampala. And we did like a festival there. I think it was the Kampala
German something.
And it was like just hearing Patrick and his experiences, and then seeing the scene. They took me to different gigs. I saw that, like, National Theatre, they were doing their own gig in this amazing auditorium that was all red.
La Bonita.
La Bonita. Like everything about what I was going to do from comedy started there, because what then happened was that we started getting onto these shows like Oprah Williams' Night of a Thousand Laughs, and even Patrick and I having this discussion about, bro, we are in a position where we should be the promoters. And when Patrick started doing Africa Loves, it was like, that was how we got our work. This is how we were introduced to the world. It was insane how all of this started happening. But
that's the only way I eat in Uganda.
Yeah.
because the promoter is my friend and he happens to be my comedy friend. That's the only way, because I met Patrick in Ghana and that's how we kicked off, you know, with our situation. And it's actually interesting to see how far that's come. What's the scene like right now? Because you say, you've been social distancing for a year and stuff. In back home in Zimbabwe, you know, what's the atmosphere in terms of comedy like? Like, what's the like? I think you told me before, but I've always wondered, like, what's the vibe?
So I was very lucky in that I got to meet a lot of these comics right at the beginning and hearing their story.
Yeah.
One of the things that I didn't want to fall into was the trap of carrying an industry on your shoulders. And I could really sense that from guys like Patrick within their industry, that it was really carrying a whole industry on your shoulders. You're trying to start out, you're trying to write material, but you're worrying about young comics and so on. But there was one thing that was very true that came out of there, was that you could lead by example. So if you did a lot of work out there and shared that work, a lot of the young comics would be able to pick up from that and then start out their careers. And we found like that's what happened in Zimbabwe. Like the young comics started coming out, they started learning that, oh, you're working with so-and-so, this is where you're performing, this is how you're getting the gigs. And so by default, people were following what I was doing, and the whole scene happened to such an extent here in Zimbabwe. There's so many comics here that like I hardly perform at home. I literally hardly perform in Zimbabwe because like I literally can't keep up. There's now like a local vernacular scene, like in the different languages. The young comics, it's difficult to go to the comedy clubs because they can say stuff about the president I would never ever say. So I want to keep away from that kind of stuff. So it's
you created rebels just like Patrick has in Uganda.
But I mean the scene here is so dope. I mean, just recently, like a Zimbabwean comic won the Pan-African Comic of the Year, the Comics Choice Awards. I mean,
when did this? Let's talk about that part, Carl. So sometimes I feel like as Congolese we're not getting treated fairly because.
Let's not go there. I hate that subject.
Yes,
that subject is racist. Let's not go there. I don't like it.
Can I go there? Can I go there though?
You're right, bro. You're in a car that seems to be going everywhere. So go. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So what's funny about this whole process is that I think Africa needs to take a leaf out of the book here, because we've got the South African Comics Choice Awards, which has a Pan-African component, right? Mm-hmm. But I think this is our fault, because this really should be an African Comics Awards. Not so much that, because a lot of the big work that's happening in the comedy sector is happening on the African continent, not just South Africa. Yeah. So for us to be sitting and waiting for South Africa to validate what we're doing is not really a good idea, considering the type of heavyweights we have on the continent, who are really like pushing the envelope. Like we're talking about, look at what Basketmouth is doing, the auditoriums that he's filling up. Guys, all I am saying is that you end up with a situation where like Pan-African Comic of the Year is just like maybe like a single category. It doesn't really represent what's happening.
You know when they say world music at the Grammys, you take this.
Yes.
Yeah, world music. And then they put us all in there, mix us, put some
in the same category.
So exactly, because I think even the process as well is kind of flawed, because you then say, I remembered one time there was what happens is that everyone has to enter, then the South African comics have to vote. I'm like, but hang on, it's not like the comics are going and traveling all over Africa to see what's going on. So I think it's a little bit difficult that the process itself will not really give you the best results, because then you then ask, where's Eddie Kadi, where's Daliso Chaponda, where's, you get what I'm saying?
So here's the thing, right? So Patrick, what's the common goal? Patrick, like, what's the common goal of the African comic? What makes us all laugh at the same time? Because you've gone around so many different countries and they're taking your jokes. What makes us all laugh at the same time? For it to be what Carl is talking about, it should be something that we have to show the many different faces across the continent.
The beauty about Africa is that we all know about each other's countries, but we all know the vices about each other's countries. Yeah, we've never had an opportunity of sharing our common goals. So comedy is the platform that has helped us share the common goals. That is why if I do a job,
he was about to do a joke. This is typical of.
He was about almost there.
And then you wonder why they don't want to include you people. They just want to put you in world music. You wonder why. You know, because you can't even finish the joke. So, you know, maybe in South Africa, the internet will work better. That's why they can only rely on themselves to put themselves in the category. You understand? When it comes back, they will understand, Carl. But look, Carl.
I was out.
You are in and out. No. This is part of the reality of what we're dealing with, because the Wi-Fi in Kampala has got corona. I'm telling you.
Bro, I gave a 10-minute explanation. You mean I was off?
Bro, listen, me and myself and Carl were about to discuss finding a vaccine for the Wi-Fi in Kampala.
Holy shit. I spoke, oh my God, I poured my heart.
You left us at, the thing about this is,
you see the thing here?
So you might as well start from scratch. Let's hear you, Patrick.
Oh no, man. Oh my God. Okay. What I was saying is the things we've known about you see, every African country knows something about another country.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the things we've known about other countries are the vices. Like South Africa used to think Uganda is the #1 country, the #1 carrier of AIDS in the world. And we thought, am I freezing again?
No, you're good so far.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you need to be shaking your head so that I know, man.
That's what you were doing when you were still.
Eddie, shake your head so that I know that I'm not frozen. Because I'm speaking
as you're talking,
I am spewing sense. I'm spewing sense, but you are freezing.
Go on, we're listening.
I think if we move our heads, it will use too much bandwidth.
Bro,
so you'll distract me.
Now we have to do our part to serve Kampala's Wi-Fi. This is becoming a job I didn't sign up for. Continue. So, bro, devices.
This is crazy. But anyway, as I was saying, the only things we know about each other are the bad things.
The bad things.
You know, corruption, war, famine, drought, and etc. But comedy has been so exceptionally amazing because it has helped every comedian from each country to express the goodness of their countries.
Yeah.
And we do not believe that we have so much in common as Africans. We have so much in common. When you talk about a joke about love, when you talk about relationships, when you talk about school, when you talk about the way we eat, the way we move, our swag, you can resonate with somebody in another country. So the comedians, we have exploited this, and we have actually let people know that, hey, besides the corruption, besides the murders, the crime and everything, we have love, we have infrastructure, we have education. So it's been something really, really amazing. And I think if only we had the access like the Western world has, if only we had that access, trust me, we were going to blow up. How I pray that Trevor Noah organizes an Africa on stage, a stand-up Africa Laughs kind of show for the United States, where you get all the best African comedians and we showcase our talent.
United States? Why would that be the solution? Why don't we
No,
have
no.
Africa? I want to throw in the spanner in that word. Why are we even bringing America into this conversation? Why shouldn't they be coming to us? We should start sacrificing that everything we people to be about us.
So we've had this discussion with Patrick before. I think we kind of had a meeting with Churchill and so on. And I actually believe the failing of African comedy is that we've just allowed South Africa to take the lead. And I say this in a respectful manner, in the sense that South Africa is so insular. They don't look at themselves as, oh, we are African comedy. What happens is that they'll say we need an African comic in what we are doing, but not the agenda of African comedy. A case in point, I'll give a typical example. So, for example, all of the African comics will invite South African comics to their countries, pay huge fees, put them up in great hotels and so on. But it's not reciprocal in the South African comedy sector. It's not as fantastic as if I was doing Africa Laughs. What Salvador is going to, where he's going to put you up and that kind of thing. You become a bigger star performing at Africa Laughs, but more second rate if you're in South Africa, so to speak. I feel almost like if South Africa was the one that was taking the lead, then what South Africa should have done, not so much Trevor Noah, it would have been that, listen, we've got the distribution companies, let's get the African comics onto the platforms like your Netflix or whatever it is, or build a platform altogether. But we're not getting enough of this. So the issue is that we don't have to wait for them, is what I'm saying. We're sitting here as a consortium
in our car,
people that,
we're sitting there in our car as a consortium. I just wanted to continue.
Sorry.
In our cars, that has
you say we're sitting here as a consortium, but you have to be very specific. We're sitting in our cars as a consortium.
Yes, and in our cars, in our buses as a consortium.
Yes.
And my theory was that if you took what would be called the top 10 performing or touring African acts right now, their combined followers, reach, impressions is more than any broadcaster in Africa on their own. So if they just had that combined power to actually, whether they're going to be doing the watch parties on Facebook or whatever, could command the right followers to be able to pull in their own advertising revenue. We don't have to wait for Trevor Noah, because quite frankly, Trevor's not going to do that. Trevor, you see, there's a difference, because there's two types of comics. There's comedians, stand-up comics, and then there's comedy entrepreneurs. And you recognize them by the type of work that they do. So Trevor Noah is a comic. So you perform, you'll do the big gigs. But the comedy entrepreneurs are people like your Basket Mouths, for example, who will do lineups with lots of guys, structured deals, fill up auditoriums. It's not really just about him. You've got your Salvadors. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those comedy entrepreneurs are the ones who are the future of comedy, the guys who are doing the business end.
Yeah.
Not so much signing big deals to host big shows. That's not really what Africa needs at the moment. What Africa needs is these comedy entrepreneurs to actually say, guys, we're going to set up the distribution platform. Let's get African comics on 10 broadcasters at the moment.
You know, I think
that's what we need.
For me, I look at it and I think, yeah, this is fantastic. But also, let's flip on the side and look at, okay, the way South Africa has its structure, right? Why can't we have that structure? Like, why can't we? So also look at and see that's the way we should have those structures in our different countries. So then we don't have to just look at South Africa. Because it might be unfair, man. But these guys have worked. They've worked hard. They put themselves in a certain level, and you know that's maybe they've done their part. And then we just look at the levels we're supposed to reach in a different country. Obviously, we don't have maybe the same political stance and all that, you know, all those atmosphere. But the simple fact is, maybe that's what we need to look at. We keep saying South Africa, South Africa, South Africa. Yeah, it's almost like we're talking about Hollywood. They've done their part. They've showed the level. They've given us an example of what we should also be doing. Should we not just take their model and do it in our individual countries so then we can all come together? Because listen, I've been treated okay when I've gone to South Africa. It feels like a revelation for you guys that you have been put in hats and put in.
No.
You have been put in buses by the Victoria Falls. So
it's Carl who is suffering. No, I'm okay. I'm okay in South Africa. I'm okay.
In South Africa, I've done 4 seasons, 5 seasons, 7 seasons. I've done 8 seasons. So
you see, the biggest problem, I believe the biggest problem, is South Africa has all the access.
Is that a
when
problem?
Netflix came, when Netflix came, when Netflix came to Africa, boom, South Africa. When Comedy Central came to Africa, boom, South Africa.
Right.
There's two countries which are really benefiting from all the international exposure, and that's Nigeria and South Africa. We can copy the model, and we even do it better, because I believe Africa Labs is a platform way bigger than any other platform, even in South Africa. I can tell you for a fact. But we don't have the access to reach into the foreign market. If only we had that, trust me, we would do it. That's why we're like, if somebody can organize something in South Africa, whereby we can tap into some of those guys to come and witness what happens in other African countries. Trust me, we're gonna blow. It's no longer gonna be a conversation of South Africa does this, South Africa does that. It's gonna be Africa has done this.
But gentlemen,
yeah, go on, Carl.
The thing that we need to analyze here is that why South Africa is successful is just critical mass. They're just able to demonstrate a certain number or frequency of what's going on to be able to say there's an industry. Okay. You see, the challenge that's there is that Salvado, as a business risk, cannot risk showcasing all of Uganda on Africa Loves, because he only has an infinite amount of time to do a show. So what will happen is that the lineups will pretty much almost have to be the same. You can't take risks there. You can't be playing around with like so the burden of carrying an entire industry. South Africa, you see, has Parker's Comedy Club, and then you've got Goliath Comedy Club, and you've got all these, the Cape Town circuit. All of these things are demonstrating a critical mass. What Africa needs to do is that if you join up everything happening in Africa, and this is the challenge, because every time I speak to some of the executives from some of the TV stations, they're unaware of what's going on. Like, I'll literally talk to them about a trip of mine to Uganda and talk about who I've met, or talk about like a trip to Malaysia and the African comics that are there. And the truth is that the executives just don't have the time to do the research. And the African comics are just not demonstrating our critical mass. So what will happen is that we're literally only showing the executives that we can only pull off maybe a lineup of 10 people. But what they don't know is that there's like 10, 20 in each country. And also, we remember, we take things out of context. So when they go to Uganda and then they look up a clip and they look at, let's say, for example, Alex's gig, right?
Yeah.
And then so they'll look at the content like on YouTube, and then they'll see like it starts out in English, then it switches to a different language. Yeah. Immediately they think the comic can't do a 30-minute or an hour set in English. It's just an ignorant thing.
But maybe they can't.
Yeah. So what we need to do,
maybe they also can't. Bro, Carl, don't set people up, please. Carl,
no,
don't set
normally they can't. Usually they cannot.
Patrick,
no,
I'm just wanting to make sure you don't set anybody up. When they now come and look for them, they start with hello and the rest is Yamachoma. Please, let's.
Yeah. So what I'm saying essentially, right, is that if you look, let's look at comedy if we look at comedy like MTV, right? The only way to grow the African comedy circuit is to have the comics only supply 3 to 5 minutes of content, like an actual music video.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the one-man shows.
Yeah.
Compile all the English comedy that's coming from Africa and demonstrate to the networks on a platform that, say, maybe 10 of us will create with our followings combined.
Ooh, this is interesting.
You will get bigger networks actually saying, listen, we can put you on X platform. How much do you guys want? Because we've demonstrated it. All we need is the 3 to 5 minutes, and each of the comics already have stuff sitting on YouTube anyway. It's gathering dust. But put it together like on a channel and basically just play out 24 hours of content from Africa. You'll be shocked. We can make up that content. But we need to demonstrate it. It has to be a specific move to demonstrate it, because what will happen is we'll keep playing second fiddle to South Africa. And again, even for the South Africans listening, I'm being very respectful with this, but the issue is that South Africa is already sorted as an industry, but it doesn't have what it takes to carry the mantle for African comedy, because theirs is a very specific thing for them.
We can't expect them to either. I think I applaud
exactly
when it comes to
it's not their burden.
Yeah, I also put that burden on the rest of us to step up individually and as a people when it comes down to it. Like, look, so on a lighter note, like for example, put it this way. Let's look at how we differ as a country. Yeah. So like for example, Patrick, in Uganda right now, what would be some of the things that you've heard being said about Corona? Like in terms of information, because the campaign that that I'm a part of has been there to deal with misinformation, fake news.
Yeah.
Our brother Daliso said somebody found a leaf, a plant, and they believe if they ate it, they will no longer have Corona.
Yeah.
The COVID plant. What are we doing in our continent? What are we doing? So what are some, and I'm coming to you. So like, what are some of the stories, that some of the most ridiculous things you've heard?
Some of the things I've heard is if you shower very, very hot water. Very, 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 very hot water.
Very hot.
Like, what are the chances you're going to shower very, 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 very hot water? That is suicide. But somebody said it, and they tried it apparently. And it killed them from Corona.
What was the result supposed to be? To kill you and COVID at the same time? At least we know COVID.
It kills you and the virus, and you're like, you are both dead. So who are you going to kill next? Listen, Africa will never run out of myths. We will never run out of myths. We are always creating some, like, there's one thing that is really, really affecting everybody. Coronavirus does not kill black people. Does not kill Africans, real pure Africans, leave alone the black people who cannot breathe in America. I'm talking about the legit black people of slavery, the original black people of Juju and Fufu. Those original black people. They say that Corona cannot affect us because our immune system is strong. We eat very organic foods, etc. Blah 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 blah. Right. And all that has been going on, and so many people have started to believe it, especially in Uganda. The fact that we have not yet had any fatality.
They believe you can't die.
Any theory, any myth you bring up, for the fact that we have not yet died, people are going to believe it. But let there be just one death. One. Game over. We shall listen to World Health Organization. We shall listen to all the adverts from DSTV and MultiChoice. We shall listen to all the radio stations. We shall believe everyone doing an advert. But because nothing has happened yet and people are collecting money, so guys are tying the whole, it's like a campaign. This is like a fundraiser for Uganda. People believe it's like a fundraiser for Uganda. Guys are collecting money. Yeah. So it's actually, I don't know. It's crazy.
Carl, what's going on? Because I'm thinking of Zim Rand, and I'm thinking of all the different things. I almost imagine, I don't know, Patrick, maybe you might understand it with me. I almost imagine Zimbabweans going, so Corona, another one. Let us tell us I'll be there.
From Mugabe to Corona, why us? Why us?
They're like, Carl, what's happening? What's the conversation like?
You know, Zimbabwe, we always say other things are a priority to Zimbabweans. But one thing I will say, right, is that white people, our behavior to white people has changed drastically in Zimbabwe. Like, I live in a tourist town, right? And so Corona has been seen as a tourist. It's like a tourist thing. If you travel on a plane, you are carrying Corona. Corona is for people who go on holiday. People don't even talk about holidays anymore. They don't post pictures about holidays. If we see a white person, we cross the street. Nobody has white friends anymore. We're going back to our roots. This has been the most racist of diseases that has happened. I look at white people funny now. It's weird. Like in the supermarket, if the white people are walking, they walk on their own. Like people don't even, they socially distance. It's so weird.
Man.
It's strange. Shame, man.
It's
because
in Congo,
because of holidays.
They cut off one part. In Congo, they amputated. Apparently, they amputated one part of the country. Not even Patrick is like, no, they did not cut a human being physically. But you know those things, they happen. But I'm talking about a part in Kinshasa, they closed off. So people were like, why did they do that? Why did they close us off? And everybody goes, because listen, these people don't understand. And that was a very affluent part of Kinshasa. So they closed the whole gates there. And everybody said, look how they're treating them. So we are the ones who have the disease now, eh? So they want to protect them. And people say, no, those are the people who have traveled. They're the one that bought Corona. Those are the people that go to Europe. The ones that are able to travel to China. They're the ones that bought Corona. So we've amputated them. You know, we have let them go and die by the river. You know, it's also by the river. Let them go and die by the river. Man, I'm telling you, it is. But where do we go from here, guys? Business-wise. People are saying till 2022. Shows will not happen. I'm coming to Kampala because I know that one shows are going to happen.
Yeah.
So Patrick, line me up for 2 months of shows.
Listen, right now I'm going back to my original profession of engineer. Because our president made it very, very clear that entertainment is a non-essential. Yeah, is not a very important part of the economy. So opening it up is going to create more risk. So chances of us ever being on stage, and that's where I get my money. That's where I earn a living. Yeah. Chances of us ever being on stage this year have been closed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now we have to look at other means of survival. It's not like you can go and do an online show and get some money. You cannot. We have tried it. It's practically impossible for a stand-up comedian. We can do it. You can get some laughs, the HAHA, the LOLs, the LMAOs, but you will not get the energy. You will not get the love. You will not feel the real deal. You understand? So now we have to think outside the box. We have to think like how best are we gonna make some money? The beauty of all the comedians that I know from the travels I've had, even here locally, most of us are very, very educated. And we left one part of a profession. We left one profession to do comedy.
But they don't want you. They don't want you.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because we are expensive now. We are very expensive. Because we are not just qualified. We have the facial value.
100%. 100%.
We have the facial value. So it's going to be very, very hard. I've fortunately been able to get a project that they've asked for my expertise in engineering. So it's going to pay me for some. I'll survive for some good weeks or months of that consultation. But I am the lucky few. Yeah. When you look at the masses out there, it's really going to be hard for comedy because we've had so much opportunity to create jokes from this whole pandemic, but where are we going to tell them?
Where will we deliver? Imagine
where are we going to talk about Corona in 2023. We have no platform.
We're not dealing with the new disease, dandelion.
All of us are upcoming artists without a platform. All of us are upcoming comedians without a platform.
We're not even upcoming anymore. We're uploading.
We upload. It's crazy, man.
No, it is, man. But you know what? You mentioned a good point there, Patrick. You said the president has seen us as non-essential.
Yeah.
We don't, add to the economy like that. Is it fair that we're now seen as when they need us, they need us?
When they need us, they need us.
They really need us. And
yeah,
when they don't need, because at one stage they're gonna want to laugh. I'm not going to appear. In fact, now I'm coming to Kampala to be an engineer because this is too much. This is too much. No, this is too much. Like, what is the point? Is that the same case? Because here in this country, the government are subsidizing for people who are, self-employed, but also just people who have been working over the years. Some of us who are non-essential, as they put in it, freelancers, consultants. It becomes a bit tricky in how you subsidize. You're like the last ones they consider. What is the government doing for anybody in terms of just people who have been working, who have been told to go on lockdown? Like anything happening like that in Zimbabwe, Carl?
Like right now, they've been talking about like stimulus packages and that kind of thing. And obviously,
big word,
comedy
but
is
I
different.
still can't spell it. I can't spell it because I've not seen a letter that has told me I have stimulus. So
But that kind of solution is never going to work. And for comedy, I think it's going to be very difficult because, number one, even if you allow entertainment to happen, most entertainment, people aren't laughing. Like comedy is like having a room of people coughing. So, I mean, that's the last place. I mean, imagine comics like the two of you who kill so bad. Nobody's going to come and watch you because I don't want someone coughing at the back of my neck. I'd rather go watch some comic who isn't funny, where I just giggle under my breath. Because now if I laugh like what Eddie's doing now, look at that. I'm just spreading corona. Even if there's social distancing, the whole room is going to die like... You want comics killing people. We want the boring guys, the guys who give you that subliminal, quiet humor that you just giggle and say hee hee, and that's all. Not this coughing and throwing your legs back and so on. No, you can't do that.
Bro,
you can't.
Bro, what's wrong with you?
This guy is not normal.
Oh man,
but there's hope. There's hope. There's hope, guys. For comedy.
You know what's crazy? You've totally even put me off myself. Like, I feel
honestly,
I'm spreading.
But it's true. That point of
it's very true. Yeah.
The only people that can save us now in comedy are the ones who are not funny.
Yeah.
Imagine dead comedians.
Exactly.
The comedians who die are the ones that will keep us alive. Can you?
Yes.
Patrick,
you have to go to the club.
Patrick.
You have to go to the club and just do the setups and then give them the punchlines to laugh at home. Isolated.
Because honestly, do you know a good laugh? A good laugh is the one which ends with a cough.
It's true.
So, man, this whole corona has changed the narrative, man. Like you'll be cracking a joke and you'll be like, okay, if this joke is funny, please don't cough.
Bro, now it's no longer laughing my ass off. Now it's laughing my cough off. Laughing my cough off. It's an LMCO. So, is the government doing anything in your country? But you said that the people have taken this as an opportunity to fundraise. But what is the government doing for the people who are not working? Are they doing the stimulus package in Kampala?
Oh, in Kampala, listen, every man for himself, God for us all. Yeah. Right now, I am so religious. I thank God that I've never left my rosary. I am so religious because God is for us. The government is not for us.
Wow.
Yeah, but the good thing is, you know, they've given people around us, they gave food relief. That's the most unfortunate bit in my neighborhood. Guys are pissed. They're like, Salvado is rich. Why give him our beans and pap? Like, for what?
What are we going to do?
Like at the end of the day, we are in this thing together. I am your friend. I am your brother. We are together in this thing. I'm vulnerably poor now. I'm vulnerable poor. That's what they call us. We are in this thing together. So your pain is my pain. Yes, I'm going to have a barbecue on Saturday, but on Monday, I will eat the beans.
Yo, listen, guys. So just to round up, oh man, I wish we could have a part 2 to this, man. My head. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's not fair. But listen,
Eddie, hold on, Eddie.
Yes.
The reason you have no Kenyan comedian here is because the government gave them money. They are still making. They are rich.
Eric Omondi has been running from me. So did you see Churchill? When we last went to speak to Churchill, Patrick, Churchill was in the park with his legs crossed like this.
He was in the park.
Bro, listen, Carl, Churchill was like this in the park. and then it cut off. The Silicon Valley of Africa, where the Wi-Fi is supposed to be great, it cut off. I didn't believe that. He said, this is none of my concern. We are fine. It cut us off. Didn't he cut us off?
Imagine.
So this is what I'm saying, right? I've explained to you both separately about what INFORAFRICA campaign is, right? So today I come to you and say, listen, we're trying to also reach those people who are unreachable. We're trying to make people understand that they have not been forgotten. We are fighting against misinformation, but we also want to raise funds and donations to make sure that, you know, we can start supporting those people on ground, you know?
Yes.
The African Union, the African CDC, those people. Now, but I also believe that our people need to understand that as individuals, me being a Congolese, I care about Congolese. Na lingi bana Congo. Nazana bolingo pona bana Congo. Moma oya COVID, moma oya Corona, tuza ensemble, tuza bomoko. Nazo ensemble nzambe abate la biso nyoso. Tuza la prudent na makamnoso tuzo sala, tuza na distance, to landa babibe konoso bazo pesa biso. That's the message that I will give my people so they understand. Again. Carl, what is your language?
Je ne comprends pas. Sorry. Sorry?
What is your language? What language do you speak?
My language is Shona and Ndebele.
Okay, so can you choose one language that you can send a message of love and support and encouragement to your people for us right now, please?
Ibizo lami ngumkhulu Joshua Ncube. Bemfunga ukutshela ukuthi kathesi kule corona kodwa sifunga ukuthi sonke sibambane and sincedisane as much as we can. I don't know what as much as we can is in my language. Sifunga ukuthi sincedisane, sifunga ukuthi sithandane ngoba sonke we are in this together. By the way, I can't say that in my language as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. See, at least we know that you are for your people. Patrick, you speak 20 different languages. Please, pick one.
I'll use Luganda because it's almost like universally accepted in Uganda.
Okay, almost like
a national. Yeah, Luganda.
Okay.
So, basebo ne banyabo bana Uganda bange njagala baweereza obubaka nze bampita Patrick Salvado era ndi munakatemba enkivulu tukikuba bulijjo naye kati tetusobola kikuba kubanga buno obulwadde obuyingiddewo butuli busy. Kachengezako kubagamba maana tuli wamu fenna. We are together in this. Tuli wamu fenna buno bulwadde bukubye fenna mu ngeri y'enjawulo nganze munakatemba sirina ngeri gyengeno okuyimirira ku stage nkole ekivulu nga gwe owa taxi oba owa boda oba conductor toyina ngeri gyogenda okufunamu akasente kubanga kati ebitu byonna bakigadde. Kyengezako okubagamba mwekuume mubeere wamu mweyagale buno bulwadde tujja bukubanga tuwuliriza ebigambo ebiva eri ministry ey'obulamu eya health etuyambe etubulire kyonna kye tulina okukola okulwanisa buno obulwadde. Mbaagala nnyo mbaweereza obubaka bange nze nga wembagambye nze comedian munakatemba Patrick Salvado mbaagala nnyo mwekuume.
Wow.
That's so beautiful.
That's Carl, if I had known to keep the Wi-Fi going, we needed to speak in Luganda, I would have started this whole interview in Luganda. Because this has been the clearest sound, image, and fluidity with this guy wherever he is because he spoke in his language. Now I understand what is going on. Your country has put an embargo on English. That's the way forward.
Yeah, language specific.
The local language choose less bandwidth.
So guys, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
I promise. You know I love you both, man.
I know.
I wish we could be right now touring across the continent as we do, meeting each other in different pockets, meeting each other in our countries. But right now, we're staying safe. And you guys have definitely, you know, stopped us from crying by making us laugh, man. And that's
Amen. Amen.
Patrick Salvado, thank you for your time. Carl Joshua Ncube in Zimbabwe, thank you for your time. Have a great time, whatever decision that you make, where you ever end up in Zambia or you want to end up in Botswana, wherever you end up, we hope nobody coughs with laughter around where you are. And Patrick Salvado, we hope when the police comes, you will show them the right evidence that, listen, I was doing great works as an ambassador of our country.
Bro, listen, when the internet went off, I forgot to record. So I'm going to try to use my influence as a celebrity.
My guy, this has been ComEddie Hour. Thank you to my brothers. God bless you both, man. Take care.
Amen. Amen.
Wow. Oh, man, you guys are crazy.
Thank you.